Choosing joy over perfection in daily life is a powerful shift that transforms the way you experience every moment, because perfection keeps you chasing something that never ends, while joy invites you to appreciate what is already here, right now, in your hands, in your life. Too many people spend their days trying to get everything just right, trying to meet impossible standards, trying to avoid mistakes at all costs. And in that constant pressure, they lose sight of what truly matters: their peace, their presence, their presence. Their happiness. Life was never meant to be lived in constant pursuit of perfection, because perfection is an illusion that keeps moving the finish line. No matter how much you achieve, it tells you it is not enough. But joy tells you to pause, to breathe, to pause, to breathe, to appreciate the journey, to find meaning in the small moments, the simple wins, the progress you make each day. When you choose perfection, you create stress, you create pressure, you create unnecessary worry about what could go wrong. But when you choose joy, you create freedom, you create space to grow, to learn, to enjoy life without constantly judging yourself or comparing your journey to others. Choosing joy is not about ignoring growth or settling for less. It is about understanding that growth does not require you to be perfect. It requires you to be present, to be consistent, and to be willing to keep moving forward, even when things are not perfect, because that is where real life happens. In the imperfect, in the unfinished, in the moments that are real. And when you begin to make that choice daily, something inside you shifts, your mindset softens, your perspective expands, and you begin to realize that happiness was never about getting everything right. It was always about learning how to enjoy the life you are living, one moment at a time. There comes a point in life when you realize that the constant chase for perfection is not making you better. It's making you tired. It's making you anxious. It's making you doubt yourself. And somewhere along that road, you forget why you even started. Because perfection keeps moving the finish line, it keeps telling you that you are not enough. Not yet, not quite there, but progress. Progress tells a different story. Progress says, you are moving forward. You are growing. You are learning. You are becoming something greater every single day. You see, pressure comes when you demand perfection from yourself. When you set standards so high that even your best efforts feel insufficient, when you compare your journey to someone else's highlight and feel like you are falling behind. But that pressure is not a sign that you are failing. It is a sign that you have set unrealistic expectations that do not allow you to breathe, do not allow you to grow, do not allow you to enjoy the process. Progress, on the other hand, is quiet. It is steady. It is built in small steps, in daily habits, in showing up even when you don't feel like it, in trying again after you fail, in learning from your mistakes instead of being defined by them. And that kind of progress brings joy. Because every step forward, no matter how small, is a reminder that you are not stuck. You are moving. You have to understand something. Life is not a straight line. It is not perfect. It is full of ups and downs, moments of clarity, and moments of clarity, and moments of confusion. And if you are waiting for everything to be perfect before you feel good about yourself, you will be waiting forever. Because perfection is not real. It is an illusion that keeps you chasing something that does not exist. But progress is real. Progress is measurable. Progress is measurable. Progress is something you can feel. Something you can feel. Something that builds your confidence over time. Because every time you take a step forward, you prove to yourself that you are capable, that you are strong, that you are capable of growth. And that is where joy begins to grow. There is a certain freedom that comes when you release the need to be perfect, when you allow yourself to make mistakes, to learn, to adjust, to grow at your own pace, because now you are no longer bound by unrealistic expectations. Now you are free to focus on becoming better instead of trying to be flawless. And, let's be real, perfection comes with pressure. Pressure to perform, pressure to impress, pressure to meet expectations that are often impossible to sustain. And that pressure can wear you down, it can drain your energy, it can make you feel like you are never doing enough, even when you are giving everything you have. But progress allows you to breathe. It allows you to acknowledge your efforts, to recognize your improvements, to appreciate how far you've come instead of focusing only on how far you still have to go. And that shift in perspective changes everything. Because now you are not living in constant stress. You are living with a sense of purpose and direction. You begin to realize that every step you take matters, every effort you make counts, every small win is worth celebrating, because those small wins are what build into bigger achievements over time. And when you start valuing progress, you stop minimizing your efforts. You stop criticizing yourself so harshly, and you start appreciating the journey. Pressure tries to make you rush, to make you compare, to make you feel like you are not doing enough. But progress teaches you patience. It teaches you that growth takes time, that success is built step by step, that there is value in consistency, even when things are not perfect. And that consistency, that's where real strength is built, that's where character is formed, that's where you develop the discipline to keep going, even when things are difficult. Because progress is not always visible. Sometimes it is quiet, sometimes it feels slow, but it is always moving you forward. You have to stop measuring your worth by perfection and start measuring it by progress. Because when you do that, you give yourself permission to be human, to make mistakes, to learn, to grow, without judgment. And that is where your confidence begins to rise. Think about the times you gave up on something, because it wasn't perfect, because it didn't meet your expectations, because you felt like you were not good enough. Now imagine if you had focused on progress instead. Imagine how far you would have come if you had allowed yourself to grow instead of demanding perfection. That is the shift you need to make. That is the mindset that will carry you forward. Because when you focus on progress, you focus on what you can control. Your effort, your attitude, your consistency. And that is where your power lies. You don't need to be perfect to succeed. You just need to be committed. You just need to keep showing up, keep learning, keep improving. And over time, those small improvements will turn into something powerful, something undeniable, something that reflects the effort you put in every single day. And when you look back, you will realize that it was not perfection that got you there. It was progress. It was your willingness to keep going, to keep trying, to keep growing, even when things were not perfect. And that is something worth being proud of. So let go of the pressure. Let go of the unrealistic expectations. Let go of the need to be perfect and embrace progress. Because progress is what brings joy. Progress is what builds confidence. Progress is what leads to real growth. And when you choose progress over perfection, you choose a life that is not only successful, but meaningful, fulfilling, and truly your own. There comes a moment in your life when you realize that chasing perfection is quietly stealing your peace, your confidence, and your ability to enjoy the very life you are working so hard to build. And in that moment, you face a choice. Keep demanding perfection from yourself, or embrace imperfection. And finally start living. Embracing imperfection is not about lowering your standards. It is about raising your awareness. It is about understanding that life was never meant to be flawless. It was meant to be real, raw, and filled with experiences that shape who you are becoming. And when you accept that truth, something powerful begins to shift inside you. You stop beating yourself up over every mistake. You stop replaying every misstep in your mind. And you stop letting fear of failure hold you back from trying again, because you begin to see that every mistake carries a lesson. Every failure carries wisdom, and every setback is just a setup for something greater. Enjoying the journey means you stop living your life like a race. You stop comparing your path to someone else's, and you start paying attention to your own growth, your own progress, your own story, because no two journeys are the same. And the moment you accept that, you free yourself from unnecessary pressure. See, perfection creates tension. It makes you rigid. It makes you afraid to take risks, afraid to fail, afraid to be seen as anything less than perfect. But imperfection creates freedom. It allows you to move, to try, to explore, to agree, without fear holding you hostage. There is something powerful about giving yourself permission to be human, to not have all the answers, to not get everything right the first time, to learn as you go, because that is where real growth happens, in the process, not in the illusion of perfection. You begin to understand that your value is not determined by how flawless you are, but by how resilient you are, how willing you are to keep going, how committed you are to becoming better each day. Even when things are not perfect, and when you embrace that mindset, you start to see life differently. You start to appreciate the small victories, the quiet wins, the moments that may seem insignificant but are actually building the foundation of something much bigger. You realize that waiting for everything to be perfect before you feel happy is a trap. Because perfection never arrives. There will always be something to fix, something to improve, something that is not quite right. But joy? Joy is available to you. Right now, enjoying the journey means finding peace in the process, not just in the destination. It means being present in each moment, being aware of your growth, being grateful for how far you have come instead of constantly focusing on how far you still have to go. You stop rushing through life, trying to get to some imagined perfect point, and you start living intentionally, appreciating the experiences, the lessons, the people, and even the challenges that shape you into who you are meant to be. There is strength in embracing imperfection, because it takes courage to accept yourself as you are, to acknowledge your flaws, your struggles, your imperfections, and still choose to move forward with confidence and purpose. That kind of strength is not loud. It does not seek attention. It is quiet. It is steady. It is built over time, through consistent effort, through still treatments, through self-acceptance, through the decision to keep going, no matter what. You also begin to realize that other people are not looking for perfection from you. They are looking for authenticity. They are looking for someone real, someone genuine, someone who is not afraid to be themselves. And when you embrace your imperfections, you become that person. You inspire others not by being perfect, but by being real, by showing them that it is okay to make mistakes, that it is okay to learn, that it is okay to grow at your own pace. And as you continue on this journey, you start to feel lighter, freer, more at peace with yourself, because you are no longer carrying the heavy burden of trying to be perfect. You are simply focused on being better than you were yesterday. That is the beauty of embracing imperfection. It allows you to grow without pressure, to succeed without fear, and to live without constantly judging yourself. You begin to understand that life is not about perfection. It is about progress. It is about experience. It is about learning, evolving, and becoming a stronger version of yourself through everything you go through. So you stop resisting your journey and start trusting it. You stop fighting your imperfections and start learning from them. You stop chasing an unrealistic ideal and start appreciating the reality of your life. Because when you embrace imperfection, you give yourself permission to live fully, to enjoy every moment, to grow through every experience, and to build a life that is not perfect, but real, meaningful, and truly yours. Happiness lives in the moments, not in perfection. And once you understand that truth, your whole life begins to change. Because you stop waiting for everything to line up perfectly before you allow yourself to feel good. And instead, you start recognizing that joy is already present in the simple, quiet, ordinary moments of your day. You see, most people spend their lives chasing a perfect version of happiness, thinking that once they achieve a certain goal, reach a certain level, or fix every flaw in their life, then they will finally be happy. But that day never comes, because perfection is always moving, always just out of reach, always promising something it cannot deliver. But life was never meant to be perfect. It was meant to be experienced, felt, lived. And when you begin to live in the moment, you start to notice the things that truly matter, the small victories, the genuine smiles, the moments of peace that you used to overlook because you were too focused on what was missing. Happiness is not found in flawless conditions, It is found in your ability to appreciate what is already in front of you, to be present where you are, to find meaning in the everyday experiences that shape your journey. Think about it. The moments you remember most are not the perfect ones. They are the real ones. The times you laughed until your stomach hurt. The moments you overcame something difficult. The times you connected with someone on a deeper level. Those are the moments that stay with you. And yet, many people miss those moments because they are too busy worrying about what is not perfect, what could go wrong, what still needs to be fixed, and in doing so, they rob themselves of the very happiness they are searching for. You have to slow down. You have to breathe. You have to allow yourself to be present. Because when you are present, you begin to see life differently. You begin to notice the beauty in things you once ignored. You begin to appreciate the process instead of rushing to the outcome. Perfection creates pressure. It creates stress. It creates a constant feeling that you are not enough. But living in the moment creates freedom. It allows you to accept yourself, your life, and your Arnie exactly as they are, without judgment. Happiness is not something you chase. It is something you experience, something you allow, something you recognize when you stop overcomplicating your life. With unrealistic expectations, you start to understand that not every day will be perfect, not every moment will feel amazing. But that does not mean happiness is gone. It simply means you are being given an opportunity to find it in a different way. Sometimes happiness is found in the quiet moments, in the early morning, when everything is still, in the laughter of a loved one, in the simple act of taking a deep breath and realizing that you are here, you are alive, and you have another chance to make something meaningful out of your day. When you stop demanding perfection, you start appreciating reality. And reality is where true happiness lives, because it is real, it is honest, and it is yours. You don't have to wait for everything to be perfect to feel happy. You just have to be willing to see the good in what you already have, to focus on what is working instead of what is not, to find gratitude in the present moment instead of constantly chasing something in the future. There is a shift that happens when you begin to live this way. Your stress begins to decrease. Your perspective becomes clearer, and your heart becomes lighter. Because you are no longer burdened by the need to be perfect. You begin to realize that happiness was never about perfection. It was always about perfection. It was always about perspective, about how you choose to see your life, about how you choose to respond to your circumstances, about whether you focus on what is missing or what is already there. And when you choose to focus on the present, when you choose to live in the moment, you give yourself the gift of peace, the gift of clarity, the gift of true happiness. So stop waiting for the perfect moment, because it may never come, and start living in the moment you have right now. Because this moment, right here, is where your life is happening. Happiness lives in the moments, not in perfection. And once you truly understand that, you will realize that everything you have been searching for has been within your reach, all along, waiting for you to slow down, to open your eyes, and to finally see it for what it truly is. There comes a point in your life where the weight of trying to be perfect becomes heavier than the life you are trying to live, where the constant pressure to get everything right begins to rob you of your peace, your energy, and your ability to simply enjoy the moment. And in that moment, you face a choice: continue chasing perfection, or finally let go and start living fully. Letting go of perfect is not about lowering your standards. It is about freeing yourself from unrealistic expectations that were never meant to define you. It is about understanding that perfection is an illusion that keeps you stuck, while living fully allows you to grow, to learn, and to experience life as it truly is. You have spent too much time trying to control every detail, trying to avoid mistakes, trying to present a version of yourself that appears flawless, but in doing so, you have been holding back the very life you were meant to live, because perfection does not create life. It limits it. When you let go of perfect, something powerful begins to happen. You begin to breathe again. You begin to breathe again. You begin to move with more freedom. You begin to take chances without fear holding you back. Because now your focus is not on being flawless. Your focus is on being present, being real. And being willing to grow. Living fully means allowing yourself to experience life without constantly judging every step. It means embracing the journey, with all its ups and downs, with all its mistakes and lessons and understanding that every experience is shaping you into someone stronger, wiser, and more resilient. You start to realize that the moments you feared the most, the moments where things did not go as planned, were the very moments that helped you grow the most. because those moments forced you to adapt, to learn. To rise, perfection keeps you stuck in place, afraid to move, afraid to fail, afraid to step outside your comfort zone. But letting go of perfection pushes you forward. It gives you the courage to try, to fail, to get back up, and to keep going no matter what. You cannot live fully while constantly trying to be perfect, because perfection demands control, and life does not always follow your control. Life moves in ways you cannot predict, and the only way to truly live is to embrace that unpredictability. There is a freedom that comes with letting go, a freedom that allows you to be yourself, without apology, without fear of judgment, without the constant pressure to meet impossible standards, And in that freedom, you begin to discover who you really are. You are not defined by your mistakes. You are not defined by your imperfections. You are defined by your imperfections. You are defined by your willingness to grow, to learn, and to keep moving forward despite the challenges you face. Living fully means being present in each moment, appreciating what you have, recognizing your progress, and allowing yourself to experience joy without constantly questioning whether you deserve it. Too many people miss out on life because they are waiting for everything to be perfect before they allow themselves to feel happy. But that moment never comes. Because perfection is never satisfied. It always wants more, always demands more, always expects more. But when you let go of that need, when you release the pressure to be perfect, you create space for happiness to enter your life naturally. You create space for for connection, for meaningful experiences that cannot exist in a life controlled by fear of imperfection. You begin to understand that progress is more important than perfection, that effort is more valuable than flawless execution, and that showing up consistently, even when things are not perfect, is what truly leads to success. And as you continue on this path, you start to feel lighter, more confident, more at peace with yourself, because you are no longer carrying the burden of trying to be someone you are not. You are free to be real, free to make mistakes, free to learn, free to grow, and that is where true strength lies. So let go of the need to be perfect. Let go of the fear of failure. Let go of the pressure that has been holding you back, and step into your life fully, completely, and without hesitation. Because life is not waiting for you to be perfect. Life is waiting for you to show up, to participate, to experience, and to live. And when you finally make that choice, when you finally let go of perfect and start living fully, you will realize that everything you were searching for was never found in perfection. It was found in the courage to live your life exactly as it is, and to make the most of every single moment you are given. Choose peace over the pressure to be perfect, and you choose a different kind of power, a quiet strength that does not need to prove anything to anyone, a strength that allows you to stand firm in who you are without being controlled by the expectations of the world. Because let's be honest, the pressure to be perfect is heavy. It weighs on your mind. It sits on your shoulders. It follows you into every decision you make, telling you that you are not enough unless everything you do is flawless. But that pressure is a trap. It is designed to keep you chasing something that never satisfies, something that never ends, something that always leaves you feeling like you are behind. But peace is different. Peace does not rush you. It does not compare you. It does not demand perfection. It simply asks you to be present, to be honest with yourself, to accept where you are while still moving forward with intention. When you choose peace, you begin to slow down. You begin to think clearly. You begin to see your life from a different perspective, and suddenly, the things that once stressed you out begin to lose their power over you. You realize that you do not have to prove your worth to anyone, that you do not have to meet every expectation that others place on you, that you do not have to sacrifice your mental and emotional well-being just to appear perfect in the eyes of others. Peace allows you to breathe again, to relax your mind, to release the constant tension that comes from trying to control everything. Because control is at the root of perfection, and the more you try to control every outcome, the more pressure you create for yourself. But when you release that need for control, when you accept that not everything will go exactly as planned, you create space for growth, for learning, for real experiences that shape you. In ways perfection never could, you have to understand that perfection is an illusion. It is a standard that no one can truly meet, and yet so many people spend their lives chasing it, believing that once they reach it, they will finally feel complete, finally feel satisfied, finally feel enough. But that moment never comes, because perfection always moves the goalpost. It always asks for more. It always leaves you striving instead of living peace. On the other hand, is something you can have right now, in this moment, regardless of your circumstances, regardless of your imperfections, regardless of what is going on around you. Peace is a choice, and that choice begins with how you think, how you respond, and what you allow to take control of your mind. You cannot control everything that happens in your life, but you can control how you respond to it. And when you choose peace, you choose to respond with clarity instead of chaos, with understanding instead of frustration, with patience instead of pressure. There is strength in that choice, because it takes discipline to remain calm when things are not going your way. It takes awareness to step back instead of reacting impulsively. It takes maturity to prioritize your peace over proving a point. And that is where true power lies. Not in being perfect, but in being at peace with yourself, with your journey, with your growth. When you release the need to be perfect, you also release the fear of failure, because now failure is no longer something to avoid at all costs. It becomes something to learn from, something to grow through, something that adds to your experience instead of taking away from your confidence. You begin to understand that your worth is not determined by how flawless you are, but by how real you are, how consistent you are, how committed you are to becoming a better version of yourself each day. And when you live from that place, you start to feel lighter. Your mind becomes clearer. Your energy becomes stronger, and your life begins to reflect the peace you have chosen. Peace allows you to focus on what truly matters: your growth, your purpose, your well-being. Instead of getting caught up in the constant pressure to meet unrealistic expectations, you start setting boundaries. You start saying no to things that disrupt your peace. You start protecting your time, your energy, your mental space. Because now you understand that those things are valuable, and not everything deserves your attention. And as you continue on this path, you realize that the people who true matter in your life will not require perfection from you. They will value your authenticity, your honesty, your effort, and your presence. So you stop trying to be perfect for everyone and start being real with yourself, because at the end of the day, you are the one who has to live with the choices you make, the thoughts you think, and the life you build. Choosing peace over the pressure to be perfect is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of strength. It is a sign that you are in control of your life, that you are no longer allowing external pressures to dictate your internal state. It is a decision that changes the way you think, the way you live, and the way you move through the world. And once you make that decision, once you commit to choosing peace over perfection, you will begin to experience life in a way that is calmer, more meaningful, and more fulfilling than anything perfection could ever offer. Choosing peace over the pressure to be perfect is one of the most powerful decisions you can make in your life, because it shifts your focus from constant stress and unrealistic expectations to calm, clarity, and self-acceptance. When you stop chasing perfection, you free yourself from the fear of failure and the anxiety of always trying to meet impossible standards. You begin to understand that peace is not something you find in external achievements, but something you create within yourself. Perfection demands control, but peace teaches you to let go and trust the process. It allows you to grow at your own pace, to learn from your mistakes, and to appreciate your progress without constantly judging yourself. When you choose peace, you protect your mental and emotional well-being, you set healthy boundaries, and you prioritize what truly matters in your life. Life becomes lighter, your mind becomes clearer, and your heart becomes more at ease, because you are no longer carrying the burden of trying to be perfect. Instead, you are focused on being present, being real, and being at peace with who you are and where you are in your journey.